What's going on, everyone? If you haven't seen part one of the community highlights video, make sure to go check that out. This is part two. Excited to bring a whole nother round of voices here to share their highlights from 2023. I'll also share mine at the end of this video. Cannot wait to have you guys see this part of the video. There's just as many people here ready to be excited about wrestling cards. Check it out. I'll talk to you guys soon at the end of this video. Really excited to bring this to the community. All right, so I am here with the boys from Filthbomb. How's it going? I feel like for the first time, like we've gotten everybody together on my show rather than me being on yours. How's it going? How's it going, boys?
What's going on?
Going
Well,
well.
I'm from Filthbomb. We're the Card Foundation podcast.
Well, yeah, I'm saying, like, when you guys are, everything is branded Filthbomb now on your social media, so it's hard to, like, which one are you
True.
guast going to?
Yeah,
But
we're part of many families.
Many families, yes. You sit at many tables and you're acknowledged at all of them.
Very well said.
Yes. So I've got the boys here. They are hopping on right after recording, and I'm really excited to have everybody on. So the questions that I'm going to ask I've been asking to everybody. But before we get into that, why don't you guys introduce yourselves quickly for those who aren't familiar with your show? Tell them where they can find you, and then we'll get into the questions. So Johnny, you want to start?
Yeah. So we are the Card Foundation podcast as part of the major pod network, as well as the Filthbomb breaking family. New episodes drop every Thursday. We basically cover the entire realm of the wrestling card world, from the modern releases, some vintage stuff. We cover some, stuff going on in real wrestling, not just in the cards and the hobby, but what's going on TV as well. All the new releases. We do a rookie talk segment. We do all the latest news. We do a question of the week, and we dive into what the latest and greatest in the hobby. So new episodes each and every Thursday.
And we got Danny and PBear as well, the rest of the three amigos. Yep. So you guys have had probably one of the bigger 2023s that you guys have had as a podcast, I would say. And I listen every week. It's a great show. If you haven't checked it out, make sure you do. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, everything. Just search Card Foundation. They've been doing this for a while, but I feel like it's hit its stride this year, right? Is that kind of yeah, you guys have, especially since getting into the breaks and everything, you guys have a really good perspective on some of the products that have come out. So I got to say, for all three of you, we can go in order. What has been your moment of the year for wrestling cards in 2023? Danny, we'll start with you. What do you think is your moment of the year if you had to pick one?
I don't think I could really break it down into a specific moment. A highlight was definitely the National this year. So I got to see you down at the National. Me and PBear kind of took over, and to see like a wrestling card trade night at the National was it was massive. To get a turnout of, what was it, at least over 100 people in the room.
Yeah, it was
that many people to travel in under one roof, kind of not necessarily in the National, but it was absolutely a highlight. Got to see some of the biggest cards in the hobby from some great collectors. Got to meet even some friends that we've developed by having this podcast for almost 3 years now. So that was definitely awesome to see. And I loved a lot of the record-breaking sales this year. Wrestling cards are not to be played around with and messed with. And we saw some eye-catching numbers in the 4 and 5 figures. And people are noticing, and it's great to see.
Yeah, for sure. PBear, what about you, buddy?
I think the moment of the year is when Dwayne Johnson signed with Leaf. I think.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think that's going to bring people. It's this year, but the cards are coming out next year. But I think that's going to bring a lot of people into wrestling cards that are going to kind of the gamblers a little bit, because he hasn't signed in many years.
Yeah.
I think that's a huge way to bring more eyes into the wrestling product, almost like the way Panini did when it came out with Prism. A lot of the gamblers came, a lot of people left, but a few might have stayed. But I think Dwayne Johnson getting his first autograph in a product in this many years is going to be huge. And I already have friends of mine are bringing it up to me. He's like, "Yo, The Rock signing again?" And so I think that's
he's signing on a wrestling card too. It's not just like some Doom card or Scorpion King or whatever.
Yeah, it's
not a movie premiere. It's big for sure. Johnny, what about you, man?
I would have to say year 2 of Panini. and just seeing the growth of Panini having the WWE license. Obviously 2022 is the first year, and I think they did an incredible job that first year, and a lot of eyes were on them in year 2 to see if they can kind of rebound from a big year, and how would they follow up, Prism year 2, Select year 2, some of these other releases. And I think they did a great job. Prism and Select, I think, were both great products this year. We got a lot of the higher end inserts this year for the first time. Like the Kaboom made its debut.
Yeah.
We got Color Blast again. We saw a bunch of these higher end cards that Panini puts out that we're so used to seeing in other licenses now come out with the WWE, and we saw the numbers that should be getting some of those cards got numbers or sold in the numbers that football and other sports are selling in. So I think a lot of respect was maintained this year. But that was the thing I was curious the most, was how Panini would respond to year 2, and I think they did for the most part.
Yeah, that's a really good sort of all-encompassing for sure, because even though we still haven't finished really the full card year, a lot of the 2022 sets still were released this year, immaculate, whatever, really good stuff. So now the next question is, you guys are all collectors too. What are your collecting goals for 2024? We've seen now big 2023 for everybody. What are you looking to accomplish for 2024? PBear, why don't you start here?
Probably more go for more high end stuff. But I'm working my way towards the higher end stuff. I think this is the year where I start getting very low numbered cards and things like that, rather just a bunch of base rookies and getting PSA 10s. Maybe start going for the numbered, the golds and stuff like that. I kind of want to maybe a big auto, low numbered stuff like that. So kind of start chasing very more quality over quantity this year.
Yeah, I like it. And I know as a collector of that stuff myself, I hope I don't have to compete against you for anything.
Oh yeah, I'm not going after. No, I wouldn't go after. I don't have to go after Becky, but I like maybe like a big Roman card or a big Rhea card, something like that, where I think it's the value is going to stay there. Not really a risky card, but something that's going to be there. I was looking at that. Were you guys watching that Transcendent Roman?
Yes.
I was a high bid at one point for that, but then
that's a nice card, man.
The blue, it pops like that. So I think we're going to start going out for bigger things like that.
Awesome. Danny, what about you, man?
Yeah, I mean, for me, hammering home the PC, I got to maintain the reputation of having the #1 Dolph Ziggler collection out there.
There you go.
I don't care if he's not in WWE. We got to track all the big boys and knock them down. So for the PC, that'll be a main one for me. Also, get a little more into I want to get an MJF. I think the longevity is going to be there. I think he's been the king of wrestling cards in 2023 in terms of value, in terms of what people have been interested in. So I'll go on that record to say that, and I want to get into a little PC rhythm with him. But overall, just even developing the podcast as much as we can, make another presence at the National, do more wrestling cards, and just try to attract more people in and help out some of the people that also have been followers of us, but just within the wrestling community as well.
Yeah, that's a really good goal. I'm not an AEW fan. I don't watch AEW, but I've seen what MJF has accomplished in the hobby. Definitely an awesome goal. I think, I mean, for anybody, like, you can join Patreon as well for these guys. They put out a ton of content. Definitely going to have a lot of stuff around the National, I'm sure, coming up. So awesome to hear that. Johnny, last but not least, what about you?
So I have 3 goals that I'm going into this year. The first one would be to consolidate, like a lot what PBear said. I'm mostly a set collector, and I like to put sets together and kind of chase different parallels and different inserts and stuff. And I think in 2024, I want to maybe consolidate some of that, not necessarily go after as much of a set, but maybe focus on certain people in that particular refractor or parallel or insert or whatever. Get higher end stuff instead of just amassing a massive collection. It's hard being like a player collector. That's kind of where my roots are in the hobby. So for me, it's just pick one person and get everything. And it's hard to
look who you're talking to.
No, I know. And it's so hard to pivot from that, but I would like to do that. I think I would also like to get more into vintage. It's an avenue in the card hobby I never really dipped my feet into. but I would like to go back into like the 80s and the 90s and pick up some cards from that era and just pick up like some of like the staples within those eras. There's so many nice cards from the last 30 years that I think
Absolutely.
I personally overlook. So I'd like to get more involved in that realm. And third, I need to get to the national and meet you in person and meet all and see all our buddies, and the plan is to get there this year. So
good. That's good. It's not the same without all three. You have like Captain Planet, right? You put all the rings in the middle, and then everything turns pink and black, and we're all good, right? That's how it works.
Exactly.
That's it.
Do you have uniforms that you're gonna wear as well?
No,
just overalls. We're gonna
Just
walk around like
overalls.
Powerhouse Hobbs, basically.
There you go.
AEW
There you
guy,
go. Yep, you're jacked like that for sure. So wild card question for all of you. Since you guys are podcasters, you guys are really good at what you do. You could have any guest that alive, not dead, alive, on your podcast. Who would be your good get for your podcast in the next year here? We'll start with Johnny here.
Oh man.
One guest.
Wow. I would have to say Austin.
Austin. Okay. Why Austin?
Yeah, he's
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just to have him do that at the end.
Son of a bitch.
Yeah. To have him do the hell yeah at the end of the episode to sign us off like PBear does every week, that would be awesome. Austin was my guy growing up. He's the reason why I'm probably a wrestling fan at this point. And
me too.
My favorite WrestleMania, WrestleMania 14. It's the best, and that was his moment. So I think having him would be the top.
Awesome. PBear, what about you?
Logan Paul.
Logan, wow, that I like it. Why
First
Logan
of all,
Paul?
my son's gonna love it. I gotta get him on the talk to him. Shoot
Right,
us some prime, maybe get a little sponsorship on us. And I think he's doing great. He has so many reaches out there. I think he's so cool in my eyes. So,
and he's a card guy.
Yeah, the card guy.
He's
like he's so much to
Yeah.
talk. Card guy. All the businesses he does. The U.S. champion, WWE. I think he has a part of Whatnot a little bit. So
Wouldn't be surprised.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think we'll have a good conversation with him because he knows what we're talking about. He encompasses all of it. And just talk about when's that fucking rookie card coming out for this guy. What's going on?
Seriously, we needed that. We need that so badly.
Yeah,
I like it. All right, Danny, what about you?
For me, it's a coin flip. My heart says The Rock, and I want to know why he has a beef with signing wrestling cards and what his issue is. That'd be my first question.
Yes.
I mean, he's been my personal favorite wrestler as a kid, and to transition into Hollywood and just follow his acting career, that would be like a dream come true. But my head says Vince McMahon.
Vince, wow, okay.
Mac,
I like it.
He created this whole thing in terms of what wrestling is today. Just pick his brain just about knowledge of even just like the minor details of merchandising, which transitions the cards and shirts, and there's a million things I could probably ask him that would just be wild.
I feel like that would be so incredible just to have him talking about all that stuff. Would be great. I know these are all pipe dreams. I think we would all love to see PBear and Logan Paul go at it, or cool. Danny and Vinnie Mac verbally sparring on the mic here. But I love it.
Yeah, take me to the son of a bitch. Take me to him.
Yes, exactly. You have to do your impression for him while he's on the call. All right, thanks, guys. I can't tell you enough. Thank you for being a part of this. Make sure to check out their podcast. Join their Patreon at CardFound on Twitter, right? How is it?
CardFound
and
Pod.
Then CardFound Pod. There we go. It's hard to remember everybody's Twitter handle by heart. But the other one, Filthbomb Wrestling on Instagram. Check them out on Apple and Spotify. Card Foundation Podcast. Great to have you guys on. Thank you so much. Hopefully, we'll see you coming up here this summer.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you again, Adam. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am here with my partner in crime, Ryan Schear. We have done a ton of these videos over the course of the last year. It's been a big year for us. Like, I feel like you and I have kind of been welcomed with open arms into the WTC family. And as a result, all four of us have really done some incredible things this year. But I think, in the purpose of this video is to sort of get what everybody else's feedback is. I also wanted to give our crew a chance as well to sort of tell us what your moment of the year is. So if you had to think back on all the things that we've done this year, or just something that you've accomplished personally, whatever, it doesn't matter. What was your 2023 wrestling card moment of the year?
I mean, man, we've done a lot this year. We've done so much. The WTC channel has grown so much. We have so much content out there now. I think for me, the number one moment of 2023 has to be the main event at the National. It was such an undertaking, and it was born from a 6-person dinner in 2022 and just became this wildfire of an event with over 150 people. Everyone was chill. Everyone was cool. Everyone wanted to be there. I mean, it was just a great, great night. It really was. I think it went better. I don't think anybody's going to tell you that it didn't exceed what they wanted. I mean, it was so much more than we ever could have hoped for, and it brought in so many, bigger names in our hobby that brought like Drake brought his Vince McMahon 101, and the great curator was there, and we had representatives from Panini there, and it was just really cool. And it was also awesome to finally match faces to Twitter handles.
Yeah, for sure. That was really cool.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I'm so and so. Oh, I'm so and so. Oh, we talked about this. We talked about that. And I think the main event was just so much fun, and there was a lot of angst. I know there was a lot of stress putting it together, but it came together and it was wonderful. For me, that was the number one moment. I mean, I had a couple of minor moments. At the National that year, I did finally meet up with Ryan Bannister at RBI Crew, and I cut me a really good deal on a Macho Man Prism Gold, which was a card that honestly I thought I'd never own. He gave me a great price on it, and that card is up in the wall now, and that's where it's going to stay. So it was really awesome to meet him and get some great stuff off of him. I ended up picking up the Beefcake 101 Select Black. I think some people would tell me I paid too much, but if it's something you truly want, can you ever pay too much?
Doesn't really matter. Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
So, and then
it's not like you spent 20 grand on that card. Just have a good time.
No, I did not. But I probably spent, if it went to auction. But you know what? I'm not going to take those chances. And I think anybody who's a card collector will tell you the same thing. They're not going to take those chances. I also picked up a Macho Man action-packed autograph with a really strong autograph on it. So,
nice.
And finally, a Vince McMahon Transcendent auto. So I definitely picked up some monsters this year. It was a good year. Definitely a good year.
Yeah, it's really cool to see how everybody has really progressed, because I think we all sort of started one place, and then as we sort of started building towards the summer and building towards what eventually sort of became this massive sort of community win, because we had the collector set. I know Paul's going to talk about that. We had this amazing get together with everybody, and then like now we're sort of like in this mode where we're trying to make sense of the hobby as these lawsuits continue to go through. But man, like if it still is such an enormous success of a year, just because in the midst of doing all those things, we still had these major collection milestones that everybody's mentioning as I'm recording these. And so it's really cool just to see what everybody's been able to do.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we had people from all walks of life come together. I can't think of another year. I'm going to go ahead and toot our own horns. Has there ever been a year with more wrestling media online available information? I don't think there has. Where everyone came together.
No.
We had Tony and we had Paul and Chuck and you and I, and we got a lot of great guests on who brought a lot of great perspectives. And, I own a card shop. I deal cards to feed my family. I'm a high-end collector. I'm a low-end collector. I'm a player collector. We brought, as a channel, WTC brought so much into the hobby and so many viewpoints. And I really think we covered a lot of ground. So
yeah, and it's not always pretty, but we made it. We definitely staked out a place for this type of dialogue, and it was in concert with voices like Zan and the Card Foundation guys, and Brett McGrath, and like I'm going to leave out a million people here, so I apologize if I didn't mention you, but like that is just in just the grand sort of narrative of the hobby. That's all sort of what we're trying to figure out. So if you had to now look back on 2023 and say, okay, these are my goals in collecting for 2024, let me know kind of what your goals are for this coming year.
Well, that's kind of a difficult thing, isn't it, right now? Don't we?
I guess, yeah.
We really have some uncertainty in this little niche hobby that we don't know what's going to happen down the line. I can tell you that I'm going to stick with the beefcake chase, so that'll be where I'm at. I do have, hopefully, when Fanatics, I know Panini, it's kind of a lost cause with the Macho Man license, but with Fanatics, they're showing that they can get some big names. Hopefully they can get him back in the fold, his estate back in the fold, and make some more cards. And I'll stick with my Macho Man out of 10 run that I've got going on. But I picked up a lot of great stuff in 2023 that I wanted to, and I don't know if I'm gonna be picking up some bigger stuff because I've already got it. It's like I'm sure something will come along. Something will come along that'll present an opportunity, and I'll maybe buy it or I won't. It just depends on what it is. But I'm going to stick with the beefcake chase. I'm going to stick with the Macho Man golds. There's a couple more out there that have not surfaced. A couple of select cards, and just go with that. And I'm really looking forward to the main event in 2024. So,
yeah, I think that's, and a lot of people have said like, so and wrestling collectors are a bunch of similar-minded individuals, right? We all are either chasing our one player or our one superstar, or we're chasing our sets, or we're chasing our just general focus. And I think a lot of people have said their collecting goals for 2024 are sort of a continuation of that, which is awesome to hear, because the hobby is kind of taking a nosedive at the highest levels, but wrestling cards are kind of just chugging along and continuing to be a relevant area. And I think and some of the other videos that I recorded, like everybody's like, yeah, man, like I'm excited to see where 2024 goes. And I think just the community response to be able to make these types of videos as well has just been incredible. So like I think the goal of sort of continuing your chase, but also I think one of the wild card questions I wanted to ask is like, how do you see the community moving forward in 2024 as well? I know like you and I have tended to be vilified by a very small area of the darkest areas of our niche, but it's something like overall the community seems to be just in this amazing sort of upward trajectory, trying to come together outside of that patch of individuals. What is your sort of focus, or what do you think is going to be sort of the next steps for the wrestling card community coming up here?
Well, I think it really depends on where we go with products. Are we going to have to wait 8 months to get the first Topps product? Are we even going to see it by August? Who knows? There's so much uncertainty. A year ago, you could have said, okay, Panini's going to have boom, 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 and then we can talk about it and go from there. What I don't want to see happen is I don't want to see Fanatics come on the scene and then we have a Panini Fanatics divide again. Can we just put it to rest, be done with it?
Yeah, I'm definitely there too. Yeah, it's just stupid.
Let's just be done with it. Panini, whether they get to finish out their calendar or not, has made an indelible mark on wrestling cards. You cannot
absolutely,
you can't dispute that. I don't care. I mean, you can try, but you can't do it. So Panini, in the year and a half or 2 years they were involved, have made an indelible mark on the hobby. They've produced a lot of cards that a lot of people like. They brought a lot of collectors in who are now going to stay. And I've said before, and I'll say it again, I just hope that Topps/Fanatics can do the license justice. I just hope that the tender loving care that we saw Panini give to the wrestling license, Fanatics does the same. I don't care who's making the cards, guys. I just want the cards.
Yeah.
That's basically my standpoint. So, if Topps comes out and they put out lackluster products, I'm going to say something about it. If they put out great products, I'm going to pat them on the back and say, you guys did a great job with that.
Yeah,
I want
absolutely
good quality products. That's what I want. And Panini has given the blueprint out there on how to do it. Now, whether the Fanatics listens to them or not, hopefully they do in some regard. They'll do their own thing. But as long as the products are good, I think people are going to stay. People are going to like it. People are going to break it. And main event 2024 is going to be even bigger.
Yeah, and I think we've also covered the hell out of every Panini product, out of every opportunity that has come to newsworthy items in this course of the last year, and none of that's going to change. Like Top starts putting out sets, it's not like I'm not going to buy the shit out of them. Like I'm going to want
Of course not.
I want all of them for my collection. Like I am an equal opportunity collector in that respect. A ton of my collection is Tops, and like I think that is a divide that is naturally just going to go and happen because we're bored or we're lonely or whatever is going to happen. And there's going to be naysayers across everything because people hate Panini for what they represent in other sports. People hate Panini for that one redemption that they didn't fulfill, a couple of years ago, or they hate Tops because they're not delivering the hobby favorite sets that Panini has, and all of those things. Like there's always going to be a divide there. But I think it's a really good approach to say, like, guys, it doesn't matter. And I think if you look at the greater hobby, it doesn't matter. And I think if you look at what happened over the course of this year, we had guests on from, like you said, all walks of life. And man, everybody was saying they didn't really care. They just wanted more cards. And I think we're definitely the same way. So hopefully that happens. And hopefully, Tops comes in, whether it's now or 26, whenever, it doesn't matter. They're going to come in eventually. And I think 2024 is slating to be a very, very big year for wrestling cards. Even if the products don't come, I still think the community has some stuff on the horizon that is awesome. And I think you'll see that in the course of the main event. You'll see that in the course of the Collector Series, Series 2. And there's a whole bunch of stuff popping up here and there.
I hope that Panini gets to at least fill out 2023.
Yeah, me too.
2023. We need a second year of Immaculate.
God, that's what I would love. That there's so many loose ends, and
we do.
I think it's awesome.
And, you guys really should be hoping that they do fill out the last year of 2023 because odds are they're going to have a lot of stock they need to get rid of, and
it's going to be an insane product. Yeah,
I mean they're going to be stacked, absolutely stacked. If that's the case, if they say Panini, okay, you can go ahead and finish out 2023, and they say, okay, well, we have autographs for the next 4 years.
All of that's going into one product.
Into everything, guys. You should be hoping for that. So hopefully it does happen. So, but man, I always have a good time with you doing these videos. They're a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And
I can't believe like a year later, like we're still we started this probably 14 months ago, 15 months ago, whatever. And I still, this is really like, I can't believe that we've actually sort of made it this far, because we were just doing it for fun because we were like, well, these conversations we would normally have in a card shop, let's just record them. And, here we are sort of like, now we've, come to a spot where we're going on year 2 of this big sort of get together. We're going on all of these different year 2 things. And it's just like, it's shocking to me that we've sort of stayed the course like this. It's awesome to see.
Yeah, no, it's been a fun ride, man. Last year's been awesome. Next year's going to be great too. So I'm not worried about it at all.
What was DDP always saying? Like self high five? Yeah.
Yep. Self high five.
So, but yeah, man, it's good. I hope you have a good 2024. I'm sure this will be, not the last video that we have before we get a real sort of indication of what's going to happen with Tops or Panini. But I think Elite's going to come. I think that's pretty much established now that they've sort of put it back on calendars. Hopefully we get some more. We'll be here doing our thing as usual. Otherwise, we'll see everybody face to face, hopefully this summer.
Either way, with Panini finishing out their run, there's going to be hype. There's going to be stuff to talk about. And if Fanatics takes over, there's going to be hype. Because I feel like Fanatics likes to make a splash with every single product. So the very first wrestling or very first couple wrestling products could be really, really something special.
I mean, look at what they're doing. What they're doing in baseball with Brady, and I was talking about that with Brian. Like, there's going to be something like that.
$500,000 bounty on that.
Ridiculous. I mean, but it is. I mean, like, it's become a chase, right? Like everything in the hobby over the last 10 years has become a chase, and I can't wait to see if they're able to sort of capture some of that lightning in a bottle like they have
Right.
in some of these other areas for wrestling. I hope they do. Like maybe we get, the first Shaquille O'Neal, WWE autos or something
Right.
like that. Logan
Yeah.
Paul, Bad Bunny, whatever it might be, where you're bringing in those big names like they're doing in other sports, or you're putting big bounties or
Now
something
here is
to really keep.
here it is. I'm going to call it. Fanatics gets The Rock to sign as The Rock. Fanatic gets The Rock to sign in Chrome, and card 01 of 50 of the gold autographs is inscribed "If you smell."
That'd be awesome, dude.
And it's a $250,000 bounty, and we're off and running.
Yeah.
That's my prediction.
That would be quite the experience, right? And I've often said that if there's going to be a card that gets close to that $126,000, that first Rock Superfractor autograph, whatever product that's in, I don't think it gets to 126,000, but I think it's got a shot at really setting some nice records for Topps. So I'm excited for that.
Let me ask you a question of your own opinion. If that happens and Fanatics says, okay, we're offering $150,000 for this Rock card, is that now the highest selling Rock card of all time because it was a bounty card?
Ooh.
It didn't go to auction. It didn't go to auction. It wasn't a
Well, it depends on who offers the bounty, right? So if a breaker or a private seller, David Adams, offers a bounty, that is a sale. That is not, even though it's a bounty, it's still a transaction where they're trading money for a card. So that's a record.
That'll be the next argument we have in the hobby when the bounties happen.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
So we'll see you guys in 6 months for the arguments about the bounties.
Sounds good, man. All right. So we'll be on soon. Be sure to check out Ryan on social media at Non-Sports Showcase. See his incredible collection of non-sports cards that he's been acquiring.
I got some good ones coming in this week too.
And we'll be on these videos pretty regularly with him as well. So thank you for joining, Ryan. I appreciate it.
Have a good one, guys. All right, bye.
So I'm here with the founder of Wrestling Trading Cards, Mr. Tony Vela. I am so excited to be able to get all of these community members on our video for the end of the year. Finally have an opportunity to hear what everybody's moment of the year is for 2023. I'm curious to hear kind of what your moments look like, what your collecting goals are for 2024. I'm also going to throw maybe a couple of wild card questions at you, but I don't need to. You're the first person that I don't think we need to do an introduction for. Tony, if you had to look back on 2023, awesome year for you, awesome year for wrestling cards. What was your moment of the year?
Now, moment for the year for me personally, or just as what I saw from the hobby itself?
Both. You can do both. You can do one or the other.
For me personally, moment of the year involving wrestling cards. It's going to be kind of the same thing I have every year, really. It's just getting the website updated a bit more accurate. It continues to keep growing. It continues to keep getting feedback from people. We're always fine-tuning, trying to make things better. I'm always really proud about that. I really am proud about that every year of just keeping this thing going. It's just it's always been a labor of love. So as long the love is still there, apparently. So we just keep doing it.
Right.
I think probably the most exciting thing for me for the year, watching that Rock 1 of 1 card hit those numbers, man, was just, it was you, myself, Paul. I'm sure a few others were sitting there messaging back and forth to each other, talking like, holy shit, it's 75 grand. Holy shit, it's 8.
Holy shit.
Is this thing going to hit 6 figures?
It's going.
So that was exciting to see. For me, it's exciting to see something modern hit that, while still vintage is still always holding in their top 10 every month. It's exciting to see that wrestling has really come to the main floor. We're on the main stage, man, and I love it.
Yeah. No, that's a really good recap for sure. I think, as we've seen, like the hobby in general at the top end, the VIP area of the hobby, things have really come down, but wrestling cards really haven't. And like, I think that the interest is still there. We saw at the National just how crazy it got. Like, I think there are more people getting into it now than ever before. I'm really excited to see what 2024 sort of brings, even though there's still some legal battles that may rage on and make things
but you
more
know what?
difficult.
We still get to talk about it. It's the thing is like it's not this lull of no product being released. There's still like stuff going on that's causing us to have conversations and keeping wrestling cards still in people's minds and still talking about it. But yeah, the national was another big moment for me too. Now that you mentioned that, yeah, it was another big moment. I think I stood there like a stupid little kid the entire time with my arms crossed the whole time, just kind of soaking it all in. It was not really much of words for me because I was just very overwhelmed by where this started from for me decades ago, and to see where it's come. And then like, yeah, I'm sure you guys get about 40 people to show up. Well, that would be a huge success for us, man. And you guys really stepped it up and got all this shit done for it. And we had like 175 people show up that night with like 3 members of Panini there the entire time, kind of, holy shit, these guys are doing something kind of special here that's not ever been done before. And it was a great moment, man. It was a really good moment.
Yeah, for sure. So speaking of that, what would be your 2024 goal, not just maybe for your collection, but for what your role in the community and stuff? What are you looking to accomplish here next year?
I think to keep the, par for the course, really, for me, is just to continue to keep putting out content, for the channel, to keep putting out accurate information for the checklist, to get more cards, the more obscure stuff recognized by grading companies, just to get more people to understand there are important resources out there to help them with information. WTC has been around for a long time. It's, for years, like when I was in SoCal, there's a card show, well, a collectibles show called Frank and Son Collectibles Show.
Yeah, I've been there a few times.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know about it in its first 15 years of existence, and I live like real close by to it. I had no idea it even existed. So there are people like that. I get people who come into my store that come in and they like into cards, but they don't know about WTC. So I'm kind of blown away by that. And so, educating people more and more in 2024. Actually, educating people more and more in 2024.
There we go.
And getting getting the word out there, letting them know about this channel, about great resources of stuff that, what you and Ryan put out, what Paul and I put out for monthlies or collector series, and understand that there's some resources out there to help educate you and help you along your collectible way. Yeah,
for sure. That's a great goal, and I can't agree more. I think having this as a resource, I say this at the end of every video, make sure you're subscribing, make sure you're commenting, because it really does. It's such a wealth of content and such a wealth of information. So now here's your wild card question, my friend. You run a wrestling store, wrestling themed store, and you specialize in any number of things, but one of them is the autographs that you have. If you could have any piece of wrestling memorabilia to hang on the wall of the store, what would it be?
I already have it.
Oh, okay. All right.
Had I known this, I would have gone and grabbed it and brought it over here. But I recently, in the last couple of months, have purchased an 8x10. That's an original promo photo of a cast of characters on it from the 2003 Tribute to the Troops. That
awesome.
that I purchased off a man who served 13 years in Afghanistan and was there for the first year in 2003.
That's so cool.
And it has autographs on it anywhere from Shelton Benjamin and Charlie Haas up to an early 2003 John Cena signature to Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, Stone Cold Steve Austin. And the icing on the cake for me with that is because it has a Vince McMahon signature on it.
That is awesome. I've seen it. It's really cool to see. I think you've posted it on social media a couple of times. Just a specimen of of that nostalgia, right?
Yeah.
Like everybody lived through that era of WWE it was really where things were starting to come down from the Attitude Era, but still now on its way to what John Cena eventually sort of
aggression era.
Yeah, the ruthless aggression era. So
it's
such a cool piece.
It's a cool piece. It took all summer to get it. He came in, we haggled back and forth. I took a picture of it. I sent the picture of it over to my JSA guy to make sure the Vince would pass, because it's such a hard thing to pass. And it's not this V squiggle thing. It's a nice little, Vince.
Yeah.
And
he does not have the most complex autograph.
No, he doesn't really. And my JSA guy said it looked really good. He said it has a really good chance. And so I rolled the dice on it, and I'm kind of hoping someday to have it certified.
That's awesome, man. All right, that's a great piece. Go check out Tony's store in Phoenix if you haven't. Wrestling Guy Phoenix is where Tony spends most of his time these days. We love to hear about the awesome stories of all the signings they do. Kurt Angle was recently in there. Just an absolutely incredible experience, I'm sure. Make sure to check out his website there. Obviously, subscribe
WGS,
here.
yeah, go WGSPHX.com. Just do a search for Wrestling Guy Store Phoenix. You'll find it. Like you said, we had Kurt Angle here recently. Before that, we had Sabu. Next month in January, we're going to have Mouth of South Jimmy Hart for our 1-year anniversary guest.
Oh, that's awesome.
And the month after that, we're going to have Demolition.
Demolition, amazing.
Yeah.
So which version of Demolition though are you going to have?
Somebody else posted that, and I was a little. It rubbed me the wrong way. I think, is there really any other version that matters besides Axe and Smash? Come on.
Not really.
Obviously, we're not going to get Crush. Obviously, we're not going to have Blast. It's Axe and Smash, man.
Axe and Smash. All right.
Bill Eadie and Barry Darsow.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, the original. Make sure you ask him about his hair at Survivor Series. So, all right, man. It was great talking to you. Thanks for hopping on. I know you got to get back to the store, but thanks again. Congratulations on an awesome 2023. Best of luck on 2024.
You too, man.
So I'm here with Mr. Paul Anand. He is the founder of Wrestling Card Price Guide, one of our esteemed panelists on most of these videos. I'm really excited to have you here, Paul. I think you're one of the only people that we probably don't need to do some sort of massive introduction. So how has 2023 been for you?
It's been quite the year, like a lot of stuff happened this year, a lot of new newsworthy events. But first of all, happy holidays, everyone. Same to you, Adam. Happy Hanukkah. Merry Christmas. Joyeux Noël if you're in the Bell Province up here. Appreciate you asking me to come and be part of this. Happy to be with the group for the end of the year. It was just another very cool, interesting year.
So if you had to say, because I think 2023 has been just one of those years that we all had an incredible experience throughout. What was your moment of the year? It's the question I've really been asking everybody. If you had to single out one memory from this year, what would it be?
There's a lot of stuff directly in the hobby, like The Rock going for $125,000, the Panini WWE lawsuit, Endeavor Group taking over WWE, CM Punk coming back, and on we can go. But the highlight of my year was a personal one within the hobby, and a close second to it was obviously our time at the National. The main event, the panel, and that day we hopped in an Uber and went for hot dogs.
That was fun. Yeah,
it was fun. Stuff like that what really gets me off. But you know what? For me, hands down, the moment or moments, the few months that it was going on, and hopefully it's going to start again, was last year for the Wrestling Card Price Guide. I put out a card set, just a promotional card set called the Gallery Series, and it was just a bunch of highlights of the best sets ever. And then I was thinking, okay, what can we do for 2023? And the Waxateria guys, they did a neat thing with their first release. They actually included a David Peck card and an England card and a Chuck card, and they split me and Tony into one card. And I thought, oh, that's kind of cool. And the response to that from us was like, wow, how great is this? We loved it. And then I thought, well, I've been around these parts for quite some time, and I know a lot of guys kicking around. There's certainly more than 4 or 5 of us that would enjoy getting the card, and it happened. So I conceived the Wrestling Collector's Card Series. Adrian and I got to work on that, and I wasn't sure if that was going to be a thing. Adrian and I spent some time until we came up with something sort of in that National Treasures kind of look, and I'm like, yeah, this is cool. Like, even if I just had my card on, that would be good. So we made the set. And in January, I went down to see Tony when he opened the store and checked things out. And I sort of unveiled the concept to him. And he said, man, you should do metal cards. And I'm thinking, yeah, you know what? That's good. Just as a value add. Because, Adam, nowadays, you pay $20 for 9 indie cards and that's all you're getting. I'm thinking, wow, if I can charge $40, give 50 cards and a medal, right? So my moment of the year was what I'm going to call the metal explosion. And that's, even though I did the lion's share and conceived of the whole project, the metal explosion came from 2 guys. One, Tony Vela, from saying, you know what, you should do metal cards. I think that would be cool. And then our very own Ryan Schear, right at the outset, he did a YouTube video and or a post where he said, you know what, I got a metal card of such and such, and what I'm going to do is at my cost, I'm going to send it along to this guy. And hopefully,
Oh,
you
so
know, if
cool.
it's mine, you'll do the same and you'll pay it forward. Now that's something that neither Tony or myself sort of forecasted what would happen next. Well, fuck, didn't everybody start sending metal cards left, right, and
Yes.
center? And you know, I'd never seen the hobby having so much fun, sort of interacting on one place with smiles on their faces. And the coolest thing was that, to my knowledge, all but 2 guys got their metal cards, and I'm still
That's
trying to
awesome.
figure out, you know, and the big thing for me was like, you know, I got a lot of positive responses. Hey, Paul, thanks for including me. You know, really good job on the set. But the best one was when person A said to me, you know, I just got my metal card from person B. I didn't know who they was, but we did some other business last night, and thanks for linking us up. That
Yeah,
happened at
exactly.
least Adam a half a dozen times of
It's
people
so
that
cool.
might have heard the
Yeah.
name, weren't aware. Like, you know, you're on the front lines with your Facebook groups, and you know what it's like to know a lot of people, but it's
Right.
difficult to tie everybody together and sort of create some magic. And, you know, first of all, thanks to everybody that participated. See, we're just on the advent of season 2 now, that's coming out this week, hopefully, or series 2. Hopefully we have the same sort of love and camaraderie among collections. But by far, for me, that was the sort of most gratifying, soul enjoying moment of the year for me.
It was quite the moment for sure. I mean, as part of the set, like I never had my own trading card, and I don't know if I really deserved my own trading card, but it was awesome to be a part of it.
Everyone did.
Yeah, and like seeing the community rally around this concept was absolutely incredible. It's still one of the most mind-blowing moments of like you said, everybody sort of coming together and rallying. Doesn't happen often. There's so much, you know, that
notwithstanding that we sold them all in a couple of days, and it was
right,
nice
exactly. You saw in like 48 hours.
Yeah. But what Ryan did with that notion of hey, I'm gonna send this along, and I'm pretty sure it was Ryan that was the first one to do that. And
that video,
and that started a domino effect of the ball rolling on something that everyone picked up on, and then everybody was tagging everybody, and we were all sort of enjoying seeing each other's cards. And like David Wright said to me from Brantford up when we were at the National, he said the set is so good because it puts faces to names. These are guys that I know. Like we even did the Canadian show, and 2 of the guys that have done business before but had never met before, you know. And that's kind of our job. You, me, Tony, Zan, the guys that sort of have access to a lot of people within the hobby, is to try and bring us together where possible, and in a good, fun, positive way. So that far exceeded my expectations, you know, notwithstanding on the sales of them. And it was a fun project to put together, and I got to deal with 100 so far, 100 different collectors within the hobby.
That's incredible that you found this many people that are so invested in wrestling cards.
I'm still getting into trouble for missing people for series 2. You know, so
of course,
is there going to be a series 3? God knows. Let's see how we make out. And
let's hope so.
A specific video because people have questions about Cardona and how I got him involved and all that stuff. So there's going to be more details on that. But again, to everybody that was part of it and maybe a part of it to come, thanks for that, and thanks for the sort of spirit of friendliness and collegiality.
Yeah, for sure.
Community. It was just awesome.
So 2023 was quite the year for a lot of different reasons. You mentioned a couple of them. What are your collecting goals or just hobby goals for 2024 now that you're looking ahead to the next year?
Well, as you know, I've been on a rough ride over these last couple of years because I'm a set collector.
Right.
With the frequency of Panini, notwithstanding the few upper deck releases, it was tough. You know, I've managed to put together every set save for the mezzanines on the second select set, and I'm 2 away from immaculate. And it's been over a year and a bit, you know. So I was spending a lot of money, and this respite is good for me. But my goals will be the same. My goals have been the same for the last 30 years. Get my hands on every set that I can.
Yep.
That's not going to change. You know, I'm not chasing down the sexy stuff as much. I don't go for parallels. I just want the bases, the insert sets if they're affordable and manageable, and just carry on. And I don't see why I can't. I mean, I've managed to do it up until now, and I'm at a point in life where I can enjoy the hobby from 2 fronts: the collecting and what we do here. You know, sort of being involved in sort of bringing the community together.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's a great bunch of guys. It really is.
Awesome. Yeah, that's quite the goal for sure. I think if people saw, like, cause in some of the videos you can see kind of like the shelf where you have all the binders behind you and how dedicated you've been to that. My wild card question, I've been asking everybody this sort of as a wild card extra sort of fun. because you are the wrestling card price guide founder here, and you have really done a good job in a lot of these videos and sort of detailing the progression of values as it has happened over the last couple of years, as you and Tony have sort of been on monthly to go through your index. If you had to pick one release or card that you think is going to be the one to really dive into for 2024, whether it's a specific release or somebody's card specifically, what is your sort of target if you were really sort of playing the price guide game for 2024?
It's tricky because even though I run the price guide, that as a collector, I don't approach it that way. Never have. My I don't look at the investment value, and I don't really care once I pay for something what it might be worth tomorrow. Tricky to say because we don't know what the final output from Panini is going to be. We expect it's going to be elite, but going forward, we can't even speak to tops because we can say, oh well, we like Finest and we like Transcendent, and I'll tell you one thing, that if you can buy a box and you can afford it, buy the new Leaf product. I think that it's
for sure.
I think if your chances are getting pretty good now. There's only 30 Dwayne's, but if it's a $400 box, and I think that's what I'm hearing now is where it's going to land.
400, yeah.
Yeah, it's difficult to predict the future. I'm often careful to not speculate. There are certain talents like Rhea Ripley, buy. Vince McMahon, always buy.
Yeah.
But most of the people, like, you're going to buy Becky regardless because you're the Becky guy, right?
Right,
so
exactly.
Do that. You're not going to go wrong because the next Becky card is worth more in your collection or Matt's collection than in mine, if you know what I'm saying.
Right. Yep, absolutely.
It's part of something. So from a dollars and cents point of view, very difficult to predict what's going to happen in the future once Fanatic gets licensed, what the value of the Topps product is going to look like. We both know that on the secondary market, eBay stuff is selling. Stuff has been selling well. It doesn't reflect the hobby overall, but we're our own niche, so we don't have to necessarily reflect. We're doing well for all intents and purposes. But yeah, a bit of advice: if you can afford it, buy a Leaf box.
Yeah, they're exceptionally limited. So I don't know how many opportunities people are going to have, even if you just keep it sealed too.
Good. You don't get a Dwayne, you might get a Sliced Alone, or you might get a Hogan, or you might,
Stone Cold, Cena.
Yeah, maybe. And it seems like this is a potential, and I'm sure you, Ryan, will cover it in subsequent title matches. This seems like a new era for Leaf, that they're getting into more fanciful products, more on the competitive side with Upper Deck, Panini, or whoever's going to be next, Fanatics or Topps, or I presume under the Fanatics umbrella, the brand will be Topps for the foreseeable future once they switch.
I think we're getting to that point. Yeah. No, that's a good call. I think that's a really good sort of understanding of like the hobby is shifting in a way that is probably negative overall. But when you look at, we were all expecting the second card spiked up. Everybody started talking about when they were going to come down. I think we're kind of in the midst of that overall, but wrestling cards have really shown a resilience against a lot of those trends. And I think, having people like Leaf come in and release products that make sense in the grander scheme of things, even though they don't have an AEW license, they don't have a WWE license, they're really sort of like bringing every promotion that they can together. They've done a really good job, especially in this sense, to really create value in a product that no one really saw coming. It just sort of dropped one day and everybody was just like, whoa, what's going on here?
And all of a sudden Leaf is a player, and it's not like they're new. They've been around forever. But now in wrestling specifically, we're giving them, and it's not like they didn't put out a wrestling set this year. It's not like they haven't put out dedicated wrestling sets before. They were just always number 3, and they still are. But now, they've got more of a spotlight on them, and we're talking about them, and that's the kind of thing that's going to sort of grow the hobby.
I love it.
For 2024, I just want to wish everybody a great year. Buy what you love, enjoy the hobby, come to the National if you can, because we've got some amazing things for that. Consume our content. We appreciate it. We spend time making it, and just continue to do what you enjoy in the hobby.
Yeah, I think that's great advice. And I always say on these videos that, this is meant to be a labor of love for a lot of the different reasons. And we're all collectors too, that are just trying to navigate a lot of the complex landscape of the hobby. And I think this channel will continue to be a place where everybody can come for great information and great conversation.
You and Ryan You and Ryan will be there when news breaks. Tony and I
Yeah.
are going to resurrect the 3 counts. We're not sure if they're going to be every month, but that's going to happen. I'm going to carry
Yeah.
on with the collector series, which, by the way, your one's going to be coming out, I think, right before the year's end. So yeah, lots of exciting things there. I'm looking forward to doing all this
Yeah, and
stuff
I'm sure you and Chuck and Tony are going to hop on as usual and do
with
your
the
year in
hats and
review with the hats, yeah,
yeah, I hope
everything.
so.
So
We
make
haven't
sure
set
you
a
stay
time yet,
tuned for
but
that.
we still got time. Yeah, we enjoy these things. We'll highlight more of the top sort of moments in wrestling then. But love what you're doing here. Thanks again for inviting me on, and
Yeah.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, man.
All right. Thanks, Paul. I appreciate you hopping on and taking the time. What's up, Roscoe? It's been a long time. We've talked a lot on Twitter and Instagram for a while now. I wanted to give you a shout out on these videos because I feel like we've been doing these for a while. I've never been able to get you on. I'm excited to have you now.
Yeah.
Tell everybody kind of where they can find you on social media and kind of what your collection focus is, and then we'll get into the questions here.
Yeah, so my name is Roscoe Untal and I'm in California. Um, I recently dipped in not recently, like probably 2 years ago, I dipped into wrestling and I focused on Transcendence at that time. You know, I loved it, Transcendence, but that opened the Pandora's box for me. And then after, because it's really such a nice product, you know, and
Yeah, one of
underrated.
my favorites too. One of my favorites too.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then I figured I'm like, I need to focus on one wrestler, you know. So I was watching WrestleMania, and then Rhea caught my attention. I'm like, oh, I think like she has that it factor, but at that
Oh yeah.
time she was still tag team with Liv, you know. So the spotlight wasn't really on her. And then yeah, I started collecting her. I bought her Transcendent first, like the blue number 25.
Yep.
Yeah, and then I started when Panini took over. I focused on collecting the prisms, you know, specifically golds. And yeah, this year I went hard for the select because of that incredible
So
image.
awesome.
Yeah,
So
like
awesome.
when I first saw it on the preview, I'm like, oh man, this is gonna cost me a lot of money, you know?
Yeah, I remember thinking that for sure. So
Yeah,
you've
yeah.
had a really big 2023, probably one of the biggest around. So the questions I'm asking everybody for this video, what was your moment of the year for wrestling cards? It can be personal, it can be just in general. What was your moment of the year for 2023?
Oh, definitely pulling that black select ringside
I figured
from
you were going to
Whatnot.
say that.
Yeah, like I was chasing it on the breaks, and I told myself I would just be happy just to get a gold, you know, if ever. Like,
Yeah,
so I got a gold. I like overpaid for one on eBay, thinking that I would never, you know, get the black.
right.
And then there was this time, the day that I pulled it, or the night that I pulled it, I even forgot that I offered to join that break, you know, like, and then someone just accepted it, and then I fell asleep. Next thing you know, my phone was, you know, like
80
ringing,
million
and like
people.
people were
Yeah.
tagging me, and then the first, yeah, and then the first image I saw when I opened Whatnot is like that black ringside. I'm like, I thought I was dreaming, and I couldn't believe it.
That's
And then
incredible.
yeah,
Yeah.
I sent it to grading. Yeah, and I couldn't believe it got a 10 too. So it was like, yeah,
That's
truly blessed.
insane, man. Yeah, no, that's quite the moment. And I think if people haven't seen your Rhea Ripley collection, it's definitely something awesome. I know there are a lot of Rhea collectors out there because she's become so popular. But you've managed
Yeah.
to pick up so many of the
Mhm.
golds and all the different transcendent and everything like that. I mean, really go check out his collection.
Yeah.
He's a Lonnie Skywalker collector on Instagram. And I think you've documented most of it
Yeah.
there, right?
Yes, yes. I've posted like the ones that I've, you know, bought for Rhea, and definitely the select black ring side was the cream of the crop.
It's probably, I'm not gonna lie, it's probably one of the coolest cards of the entire year. And you, as a Rhea Ripley collector, being able to pull that card, that's definitely one of those top moments for sure. I know everybody was beyond excited for you. I
Yeah.
saw that go down. I'm like, holy shit, I cannot believe this just happened. It would be like, somebody pulling the top card available for their own PC. It never happened. So that was a huge moment. So now the second question I've been asking people, so now that you've had this incredible 2023, what are your collecting goals for
Mhm.
2024?
Yeah. So yes. So going into 2024, I don't know. There's a lot of unknowns with the whole thing that's happening with Panini and Fanatics. So we don't know what kind of product that we're gonna get. So my goal is to try and chase the Black Prism for 2022 and 2023. I know that 2023 has been pulled already,
Mhm.
but I don't know who owns that card. Like I saw
Hey,
it
this is
one
this
time,
is
my
your
friend sent
chance.
it to me. Yeah, yeah. If anyone out there, has it and wants to move it, hit me up. But yeah, other than that, like it's an unknown. We don't know what's gonna happen.
Yeah, that's awesome, man.
So
I hope you're able to get it. I know everybody's chasing those black prisms. The 2023 image is awesome. I love her prism card from this year. I know you have most of the
yeah,
golds already. I hope you can get the
yeah,
black. That would be really cool. So here's
yeah.
here's my wild card question for you. I've been asking everybody at least one question they weren't prepared for. I am a huge Becky Lynch collector. You are
hmm
a huge Rhea Ripley collector. What's your prediction for WrestleMania 40? Are we going to see Rhea versus Becky?
I like that to happen, but I have a feeling they might do a live Rhea.
Oh, okay,
Like
okay.
I don't know when I don't know when Liv is gonna come back, but like Becky Rhea, that's gonna be a fantastic match. Like I'm sure both of them will put on the show, kind of like what Charlotte and Rhea did in last year's
Yeah.
WrestleMania. I'm sure it's gonna be an amazing show, regardless of who's in it. I'm
Yeah,
excited.
man. Yeah, it should be fun. I know WrestleMania is always a good time, and
Yeah,
like I'm really hoping because they've been kind of keeping them apart,
yeah,
and they really haven't had they've had a few face to face. So I'm really
yeah,
hoping we get some awesome match like that. If Liv comes back, yeah, especially now that Charlotte's hurt, like
yeah.
yeah, they could easily go that direction. But it was awesome to have you on. I wish you the best in 2024, man. I hope it all works
Appreciate it.
out. Congratulations on an awesome 2023, and thanks again. Make sure to follow him on Instagram and on Twitter. We'll catch you guys hopefully as you get through these blacks that you're chasing, man. I
Yeah,
hope you get them.
appreciate it, Adam. Have a good one.
All right, man. All right. So I'm here with Tim. He is a brand new voice to the Wrestling Trading Cards channel. Really excited to have him on. Tim, I've been talking to you off and on now for a few months, and I've seen you get involved with the wrestling card community on Twitter and other places. Let them know kind of what your background is and where they can find you on social media, just to get familiar with with what your hobby background is.
My name's Tim. You can find me on Twitter at BigWerms. I think my Instagram is BWCard16. eBay BigWorms. I got back in actually during COVID. I was bored at home and needed something to occupy my time, and lo and behold, got back into cards. I did some stuff when I was a kid, but got back in and went kind of dove in with the both feet, and here I am. Wrestling card stuff didn't pick up until probably past year and a half or so. Started watching was it WrestleMania during COVID and stuff, or the
Yeah.
year after it might have been, and then I just love the storylines. I missed it as a kid. I
Yeah.
probably didn't watch it for, man, I missed a lot of the Cena days. I grew up with WCW with Goldberg, early Stone Cold, probably late 90s, early 2000s. But yeah, probably for about 15, 20 years, I really wasn't watching much.
Me
so,
either. Yeah, we're kind of in the same boat there. It's funny how that works because I was big into it when I was growing up as well. I grew up right around that time too, and then it wasn't until my son got back into it that he sort of brought me back to the world of wrestling, and now I can't get away from it.
Yeah, I got grounded when I was a kid, just to give the suck it sign to cars going by on the road. And
Yeah.
mom grounded us from watching wrestling, and that's probably why I stopped for so long.
That's great. Yeah. I guess it's better than giving rock bottoms to your brothers and sisters on your
I
parents'
used to do
bed.
that.
Yeah, we've all done that for sure. So what I've been doing here is taping with a bunch of people trying to get some highlights from 2023 around wrestling cards. Somebody who's a little bit newer to the wrestling card space, like, do you have like a time for this year that you can look back on and say, wow, that was awesome? Really hadn't gotten into wrestling cards before, but this was my moment of 2023. I'm curious to see what your answer is.
So first, I'll say I got back into wrestling cards with the Topps Living set. That was kind of what kicked me back off.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna start from the beginning and see where it goes. And well, then everything kind of fizzled out with it. But I have every card and the errors.
Wow.
I was gonna send in
and the errors, nice.
Yeah, I was gonna set. Yeah, I did the subscription or whatever. So what was that, like 21 or something? 21, I think it was, when they did that.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have all those. Wasn't gonna grade some of them, but the centering wasn't great on a lot of them. So I'm like, I'm probably I'll like just keep them raw then. But I say my big moment probably from this year would be owning that 101 Roman Reigns relic.
Yeah. That's a really cool
sold,
card.
I sold that to the guy that had the previous 2 years 101s. Yeah,
nice.
it was going back and forth between that guy and the guy that had all the undisputed from, was it 2017? I think it was.
Yeah,
So.
yeah. He's all over the place. I've been trying to get him on a video forever, and he refuses. So, but I'm glad you were able to have that. I'm curious what your experience has been with the wrestling card community ever since sort of encountering us on Twitter and other places on social media. Not sure if you've had a huge amount of interactions with people on Facebook or Instagram yet, but curious what your experience has been.
Yeah, so who's the one guy on Instagram? Is it Brett McGrath? Is that his name?
Yeah, Brett McGrath. Yep.
Yeah, so I used to listen to some of his podcasts. I haven't recently, but I used to listen to his stuff, and he kind of got me more intrigued and stuff. But no, it's been fun. I love talking wrestling. Obviously, we all know it's storyline stuff, and
right, exactly.
I don't have a whole lot of drama in my life, so that just kind of keeps me entertained somewhat.
Exactly. Yeah, it's really fun to see, and you, I know you've done some other stuff outside of wrestling too. I know you consider yourself a Kyler Murray super collector from your Twitter name. So, it's like it's one of those things where Brett and Drake Magruder. I don't know if you know Drake from Instagram as well. But Brett and Drake kind of run in the same circles of people who are collecting football and basketball and stuff, and also big into wrestling. So there's a lot of parallels you can draw between the wrestling card space and a lot of the big major sports, but they're kind of crossing over a little bit more over the last few years. So curious, like, if you had to say, hey, these are my collecting goals for 2024, what are you looking to get into here a little bit more as New Year comes around?
So I don't have a whole lot besides the Top Living set right now, but the one thing I do want right now that I won't resell is an on-card Stone Cold auto.
Man, can't disagree with that at all. I mean, he's got one of the best signatures in the game.
Literally the one thing I want.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's awesome. There's a growing amount of them, thankfully for us. So they're not as expensive as they used to be. I know back when Topps was handling it, I don't know if you've seen the Transcendent ones that have been out there. Those get really,
Yeah.
really pricey. But now with some of the stuff that's come out through Panini, he's had a little bit more affordability, which I really like because I've wanted to pick up a Stone Cold autograph as well. Most of
I
my
thought you
collection's
did you
focused
have
around
one?
Becky Lynch. I've had a few of them, but I've always end up selling them to
Oh.
fund my collection, so I never
Yep.
can keep them around because they're so valuable. And whenever a new Becky Lynch card comes up, I always have to sell everything to afford it. So
Yeah, no
thanks to some
kidding.
of the people around here. So yeah, man, I'm glad you've been able to hop on board, and I've seen you in some of the threads, and I know this is kind of a new hobby area for a lot of people, but I wanted to get more people to join the sort of video because it really shows how much the community has grown over the last couple of years.
Oh, pleasure having me on. It's enjoyable. I love interacting with everyone. It's fun.
Yeah, it's cool. And when you are sort of out and around Twitter, seeing everything, like hopefully you'll be able to catch on with some of the people that are on this video. I know we've sort of made this commitment to make as welcoming as possible for as many people as possible. And I hope that hopefully you'll be able to pick up some of those things that you're looking for. I know you said Stone Cold Steve Austin was one of the autographs. If you could have a couple of other people in your collection, what were the people that you would be targeting outside of like Roman Reigns or Stone Cold?
Oh man, I had a Jey Uso one, but it wasn't nothing that kind of stuck with me. I'm like, I can let that one go. But if I can get a different Jey one, would be kind of cool. I do want a Sami Zayn auto too.
Oh yeah, man,
he's a blast.
I and like Jey Uso's transformation on TV, where he's now become like this mega like guy who's like getting the whole crowd going. It's awesome to see. And Sami,
Yeah.
I know has been just one of the more interesting individuals to watch this
You can see
entire
the
year.
resemblance.
Yeah, yeah, you're definitely on the same wavelength with him. Maybe you need to get a side by side picture so we can see what that. Make sure you're not the same person.
I saw the hair right now.
I love it, man. I love it. Well, I wish you the best in 2024. Hopefully, we'll keep connecting on Twitter. Thanks for joining on. I'm keeping these short and sweet. Tell everybody again where they can find you. Love to have them connect with you.
Thanks, Sam. Appreciate it.
All right, have a great one. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks again. I'm here with referee Brandon Tolle, former referee for Impact Wrestling and a number of other promotions. Avid wrestling collector, huge breaker. I love talking with him because he's just so full of information. I wanted to have him on this video. Brandon, how you doing, man? Where can they find you on social media and kind of what are you up to these days?
Absolutely. At Ref Brandon Tolle on Twitter, referee Brandon Tolle on Instagram, and the breaks are over on the MBB Marketplace, district.net/Midwest Box Breaks. So
Awesome.
Just doing the normal, man. Just, still over at RBI Crew and doing the breaks, going on the road a little bit. Going to be going on the road more in 24. Going to do some bookings, hopefully. Cross fingers. Best
That's
World
awesome.
Card show in the day, indie show at night.
And Top of the Card, I know has been going really well for you. Brandon's podcast that he's doing under ad-free shows. So really excited to have him on. So you've had, I would say, a pretty big 2023 just from the standpoint of like what you have been able to accomplish just in your own personal sort of podcasting world, but also sort of your presence on a number of different areas of wrestling. Tell me, like, I've been asking this question to everybody on these videos. What was your highlight of 2023? Like, if you had to look back on this year and pick out that one moment, what would that be?
I think my highlight for 2023 is probably going to be the start of Top of the Card. I think refs, we're not the headliners, that, And obviously our world within the wrestling collector world is small, but still trying to break out there, you know what I mean, is harder than most people think. So I think for me, launching Top of the Card is really kind of been a launching point to everything I'm doing in terms of the breaking and in terms of everything else that I'm doing within the collecting hobby. You and I both talked about it on my channel where it goes, I like to educate. And you know, to be able to share the knowledge that I've gained, obviously working at RBI Crew, Ryan has, you know, has very much taken the time to give me a lot of knowledge, and to be able to pass that on to us as the collectors, as we are all on our collector journey together. We are one hobby together here. I think that's probably been the most gratifying moments since the launch of Top of the Card earlier in the year.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And I think having more wrestling card content out there, especially on a platform like what Conrad has been able to do for just wrestling in general, having some presence of wrestling cards there is awesome to see. I know you've had a number of really awesome guests on your podcast, so go check it out if you haven't. I'm sure it's on your to-do list if you haven't listened to it. But it's you can find it on Spotify and Apple podcasts and all the different areas that you can find ad-free shows. So go check it out for sure. If you had to now look forward to 2024 and sort of figure out from your perspective what your goals are looking like, what are your sort of collecting goals and sort of overall hobby goals as you get into the next into the new year?
My collecting goal as a personal collector is I want to grow my collection. I've made no bones about it, and I'm honest about it. You know, and you and I've talked about it. I don't play into these this division between vintage and modern. I don't play into that. And when, especially with Top of the Card, you get everything. As a collector, I want to continue to kind of evolve and grow on that. Like we talked about it. I procured that 2015 Undisputed set earlier in the year, which I think is a fantastic set. I'm starting to get some of those graded. For Top of the Card, here in the month of December, I just ripped a box of the 1985 OPG WWF.
Oh wow,
to go
that's
Hogan hunting. Yeah, I've got so delving back in that. So for me, it's really to kind of really expand and expound upon that. Outside of my collecting genre, I really think it's just continuing to bring us as a community together and to continue to educate. You know, we are in year 2 now of the Panini deal. Hopefully we're going into these last few products, hopefully, you know, as things are starting to move again. But there's still a lot to learn there. I think there's still, and you know, and I see that a lot now, to take it out of the WWE realm for a second, the AEW realm, the knowledge that is there that needs to be shared to be able to, as a healthy wrestling collector, not just WWE, AEW as well, because of things like Skybox Metal, Allure. You know, a lot of people in the wrestling community do not have the knowledge about those products because they don't collect hockey. And that's one of the things where I like to come in, because I have that product knowledge around the hockey. Say, hey, this is what to look for. This is what we're collecting. PMG is this, Allure that. You know what I mean? I want to continue to grow this community. You know, you did it with the main event in Chicago, and we're doing it in Cleveland coming up this summer. I really want to go growth of the community. I think that's where rising tides raise all ships, and that's what my aim is for 2024. Let's all grow together. Let's all be better collectors together.
Yeah, no, that's a really good point. And I think, I mean, I'm definitely on board with that overall. And I think it's something that you know, as we get going into some of these growth areas for wrestling cards in general, I mean, it's just, there's huge opportunities for us as a community to bring that education. And I think that's really why I started making content on WTC, was just giving that general hobby context to a lot of the wrestling as well. So I definitely hear that. So here's the wild card question, and here's your opportunity to really sort of dive in on this.
Okay.
You do a lot of breaks. If you could sit down with a case of any wrestling product from going all the way back to wherever, you know, what would be your choice to have at your break station here? No, just for you, not for anybody else, but you're gonna break a full case on camera. What are you choosing?
Oh man, that is a loaded question.
Yeah, man, that's why it's a wild
Oh,
card.
I'll be honest with you. I think I would like to dive into some of the I don't want to put a year to it because I think there's validity in different years. But if I have to go into a product proper, I really want to go into some of those undisputed years from Topps. I think that they didn't get enough love for whatever reason it may be, whether the
Yeah.
hobby wasn't there with it or the hobby had not come along like it is now. You see a lot of, you see that a lot of people never really got a chance to experience WWE Undisputed from Topps. And it's a great set with it being all on card minus one or two people. And there's a lot of value in those undisputed sets that just doesn't get talked about. You and I talk about it. Me and a couple other people on social media talk about it,
I
but
love
no one else
Undisputed,
really
yeah.
does. It's a great set. I mean, if the license or eventually when it goes back to Fanatics and Topps, that needs to be one of the first products out of the line, or at least in the first year, is we need to go back to Undisputed. I think it's a very underlooked set. A 1A, if that's not possible. And I've seen it on eBay. I just can't justify the money for it. The 2020 Leaf Legends of Wrestling set. I really got a feeling that there's a case of it on eBay. Leaf is not getting enough love. They've gotten love from us the past 2 months because they continue to tease us on this Leaf Metal Legends wrestling set that's going to come out hopefully in January. That's going to have the Rock Autos in it. But Leaf outside of the wrestling realm is very quickly gaining a lot of popularity, and their cards, the value in those cards are finally starting to be seen. And
You're not the only one who said that. Yeah,
they are rising up.
Yeah, and it's funny you mentioned that I've done a few of these by now, and you're not the first person to mention that. I do want to sort of reciprocate your love for Undisputed. I mean, it was rare. Like Topps never really did high end for wrestling until sort of the 2019, 2018. Outside of Undisputed, it was always the biggest set of the year. And I mean, in the Facebook groups, I mean, when Undisputed came out, it was like a celebration. So, I mean, they got a lot of love from like the older collectors that have been around for a few years. Going back to 2017, 2018. When I started, it was already established as the biggest set of the year, and I definitely agree. It's awesome. I have so many of those cards. I think the challenge is that now to go back and find those boxes are like $500, $600 a piece, so it's really tough. But yeah, I echo that for sure.
Well, I look at it this way, and this is the way I look at it, because I look at things as a breaker for a second. Not necessarily a collector, because for me, the goal is, and I've always said this, and I've said this in other interviews with baseball, and the way I do my breaks is I want it so finances is not a barrier to entry. So for me, sure, I see a $600 box of Undisputed and I say, okay, 10 packs, 10 autos, 10 hits. That's $60 a pack, basically. $60 is not a real bad barrier to entry,
in the grand scheme of things, absolutely not. Yeah. And that's what got me into wrestling cards to begin with, is like you could rip whole cases for the price of a single box. Like we were just talking before we hopped on here about some of the products that are coming out on the baseball and football side. I mean, I remember a box of Contenders used to be like $600-$700. You rip 2 cases of Topps wrestling for that amount. I don't think we'll ever get back there, but I think it's
yeah, we can still. I mean, you can still rip cases. I mean, I can rip a case of Select for half of what Bowman Draft Baseball that just came out today is costing on MSRP. It's like, for us as wrestling fans and as wrestling collectors, the fact that it is not priced like baseball is a massive advantage. And I see that with the people coming into breaks and stuff, because that's kind of the way I see the introduction to wrestling cards is people come into breaks, and I do my breaks where you've been in my breaks. I do it to where you get 5 to 6 talent or maybe more a spot, and it's reasonably priced. It puts you at about between $5 to $7 a wrestler. It gives you a lot of good hit potential, and that's your entry door. And I see people that have come into my breaks recently that are now becoming wrestling collectors that were never wrestling collectors before.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now they're buying boxes of product because they use the break as an introductory. So it's kind of like your gateway to it. And then along with that, then you can educate as well. And now we're creating well-rounded wrestling collectors that's helping the overall growth of the hobby, whether it's values of cards, knowledge of product, whatever the case may be. We're bringing more people in, and that's the end. That's the end game for me. Is, we are one community together, and the faster we can get to that, the better off we all are.
Yep, agreed. Thank you so much for hopping on. It's been awesome to get exposure to so many people in the community in such a quick hitter type of manner. 15 minutes with each person doesn't seem like enough ever. We've been doing these videos for a while, but really excited to have you on. Tell them again where they can find you, and have a great, wonderful 2024 with the best of luck to replicate what you've been able to do this year as well.
Thank you, my friend. And I need to have you on top of the card next year too. As
awesome,
we're going to be,
man.
I'm going to be
expanding
and I'm expanding some different realms for content's sake with it next year. Hopefully we're going to have a top of the card presence at the main event in Cleveland. You guys can find me at Ref Brandon Tolle, Tolle on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. Referee Brandon Tolle on Instagram. RBI Crew 7. You can find me there when I'm there. youtube.com/@ZebraBreaks, the MBB marketplace, district.net/Midwest Box Breaks, and the MBB Squared Circle, my wrestling home within the MBB platform. And you'll like this, and maybe this is something we can bring you into as well. Hopefully starting in January, starting with the Royal Rumble, we're going to start doing some live watch alongs together in the MBB Squared Circle, starting in the month of January. So we'll rip some cards and we'll all watch the Rumble, and kind of, once again, community together, man. So thank you. And let's, all the best for all of us as we head into 2024.
Awesome, man. Thanks for coming on again. We'll talk soon. So that was the entirety of all the interviews that I've been able to complete over the last week or two here. As you can see, just an entirely huge amount of excitement. A lot of people giving their feedback, a lot of voices that we've added to these videos for good reason, man. Like the community here is just absolutely awesome, and I cannot say enough good things about all the people that have participated in these chats. A huge thank you for everybody to spend that amount of time with me, talk through their highlights. I also wanted to give my highlights as well, because there's been so much that has happened over 2023, and it's just one of those things that I never get the opportunity to really sort of say thank you to the community and say thank you to everybody that supported WTC over the course of this year. But for me, I mean, there's so many different things to choose from. There's the Rock sales everybody talked about. There's the main event, which I cannot say any more good things about than anybody's already said in the course of these videos. We had so much fun. There was recording all the different videos we did for WTC, all the awesome community reactions that people have had, picking up some amazing cards for my collection. I mean, really, like, it's really hard to nail down one. And I think that, really what everybody shows here is that, as part of this wrestling card community, we all share a role of like promoting what it means to be a wrestling card collector. And I think that's always been the highlight to me, is spending all this time on Twitter, getting to know everybody. So many different people have connected with me through wrestling cards and through Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Like, man, that is such an incredible highlight for me. And I can't say that it's come without the drama, because we've all seen that happen. But I think that that's just a really small portion of the community that really doesn't deserve to be recognized in any of these videos, because in all honesty, like, we are doing what we're doing and we're having such a good time. Like, it's just fun. And like, this is, something that I enjoy doing more than anything. That's why we've spent the last year creating all of this content, putting together all the things we did for the national convention, doing it again this year. Like, all of that is such an incredible experience for everybody involved. But a huge thank you to Paul and to Tony, to Ryan for everything that they've done for WTC. I hope everybody has had as incredible of a 2023 as I have. You've really sort of followed along with my journey through social media and everything, so I don't really need to go too far into it. But for 2024, I mean, like, the goals are just getting bigger and better. And I think that's just a part of growth within any channel, is like, how do we get more people to talk on about wrestling cards? How do we get more voices on the channel? How do we get more people involved with WTC? How do we get our voices out to more individuals who are maybe not collecting wrestling cards now, but may eventually in the future? Like, that's really the point here. But, you know, I love being a part of just the whole sort of experience of being a collector. I've been a part of this social media community since like 2007, 2008. Like, my Twitter account is, you know, older than my children. So it's like, it's really cool how much things have developed over that time. I mean, I started collecting sports cards. Now I'm collecting wrestling cards almost exclusively. And, you know, it's become, you know, as much a passion of mine as it is a hobby. And I've invested so much time and energy because this is so much fun, and because of all the people that really have shown that this is something that's just as important to them. And, you know, as much drama as there will be on social media, like, I try not to get caught up in it. I know it's hard to, when people are, you know, constantly going and going and going, not to get sort of fired up. But man, like, this year has been incredible. I like, if you had told me in January what would take place over the course of 2023, I would just be floored that we would have accomplished as much as we did. But the crazy thing is, I think 2024 is going to be better. So stay tuned to the channel. Stay tuned to all the things that we're planning on doing in this coming year. There's just going to be a massive amount of stuff that's going to happen over the next few months. There's going to be a massive amount of stuff that'll happen over the next year. Can't wait to do this again next year. Again, thank you to everybody who was on these videos and took the time to meet with me. Like, scheduling is crazy, but everybody made time, and it just goes to show you what we're capable of when the community comes together, because there's just so many awesome people that we can speak to. And, you know, I encourage you guys, like, leave a comment. What was your highlight? Leave, you know, a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave another comment, whatever it is. Just engage with the community and be a part of it, because that's what this is all about. So signing off for 2023, at least for my part, it was an amazing experience being with you all. It was an amazing experience meeting everybody in over the summer, and it's going to be even better next year. Stay tuned. There's only going to get bigger and better. It's going to be incredible. So that's really all I have. Happy New Year. Happy holidays to everybody. Stay tuned for more, and we'll wrap up for here. Thanks again.